Hello, everybody. Welcome to ICC's Game of the Week with your host, as always, Joel Benjamin. William Lombardy, Mark Diesen, Yasser Seirawan, Maxim Dlugy, Ilya Gurevich, and Tal Shaked. To this list of American World Junior Champions, we add Jeffery Xiong, who at 15 is the youngest clear winner in the 55-year history of the event. Xiong profited from a somewhat softer field than usual, as most of the top European players did not make the trip to Bhubaneswar, India. Nevertheless, his victory was extremely convincing, as he clinched first place with a round to spare, finishing a point clear of Vladislav Artemiev at 10.5 out of 13. Now, Xiong understood that the champion needs to pile up points, though he was generally able to do that without taking great risks. The one exception was his pivotal 8th round win over Chithambaram Aravindh of India. This was a true barn burner, with caution thrown to the wind as both sides pursued mating attacks. No guts, no glory. Jeffery Xiong had the former and earned the latter. All right, let's take a look. Xiong is playing white in this game, and although in many of the games he played d4, he goes for e4 in this one, and that's the way it is in today's Grandmaster chess. Is that there are very few players that don't have the versatility to play both e4 and d4, and for that matter, different defenses with black. With all the information out there, it is definitely possible to learn openings and switch back and forth. And this is a huge difference from the time of my youth, as you would have to be a very, very experienced player to know how to play a lot of different openings, and that's definitely not true anymore. So we have a Sicilian, and Xiong plays the Roslimo variation, which is almost among strong players, is almost as popular as d4. It can hardly be considered really a sideline. It's almost like a Sicilian variation of the Ruy Lopez. So black plays g6, which is one of the main moves. I would say that, along with d6 and e6, are the best moves. And Xiong chops that knight on c6. Now, when I learned this variation as a young player, nobody did that. The main idea for white was to play c3 or castles followed by c3 and build in the center. I would say in the 90s, this bishop takes c6 began to become popular. Bobby Fischer, in his comeback match against Spassky, used it, and that helped popularize it. And now, in general, bishop takes c6 in the Roslimo, not just in g6 line, but against d6 and e6 as well, is a very popular way to play to double the pawns. Now, a lot of players in Sicilian sometimes get confused in facing the Roslimo. I've seen even a number of amateur games of black playing a6 on move 3, and that's a very big mistake. As you can see from this game, white really wants to capture that knight. But in the Ruy Lopez, you capture generally, the Ruy Lopez, the Morphy defense exchange variation is kind of similar to this opening, in that it's a little bit of the exception of the capture towards the center rule. Now, black can certainly take with the b pawn, but it's harder for him to get a stable pawn formation. And the interesting thing about the variations with b takes c6 is that white often plays subsequently for c3 and d4, which undoubles the pawn, but often gives a very dynamic game. So the main recapture is d takes c6, as in the Ruy Lopez, and that allows black to open up his light squared bishop.